Welcome to another Keelhauled podcast. I'm your host, Captain Logan, and we've got a lot of Sea of Thieves news to cover today. So tie yourselves to the mast and hold fast. Ahoy there, pirates. I hope you had yourselves a good week and a good weekend. I know I did. This week, we are going to be diving into the latest news for Sea of Thieves that revolves around the hotfixes that came out for Last Ship Standing. Rare is at TwitchCon, and there's a really nifty controller if you have the cash. All that and more in this week's episode of Keelhauled Podcast. But before I get into any of that, I have to thank the patrons. They're the ones that went over to patreon.com/Keelhauled Podcast to support this content. And if it wasn't for them, I would not be able to take care of the bills. So as always, I like to shout out those who are supporting and let them know that I really appreciate it. So thank you to A-Chick, Cute, Captain Nooch. Congrats on the promotion. Balls, Blue Turtles of Ye 1, Captain Chonky, Chateau Noof, Super Pack, Zombie Killer, Cosmic Johnson, Static Mirror, Crazy Frog, Davram TV, El Jefe Esteban, Godhammer 6, Jeff H, Carl Embo of Embo Family Gaming, Elvin Vramir, Evil Morpheus, Space Admiral Ors, Xbox Mike 29, Rabid Raccoon, Blue Crab, Real Big Tuna, Reap's Revenge, Ribloid, Rustbelt Kid, Skamelt 666, Tales of the Sea, The Demon Jester, Tommy D, DN Professor, Big Bad Pad, Mina Fairy, Hager Owl, Captain Duckweed, Peter Miller, Rooski Doo, Thor Von Blitz, Luke Lore the Insipid Ghost, and Zam Wow. Thank you all so much for your love, for your support. It really does mean the world to me, and I appreciate it every time I take a look and see who's going to be on the list for each week. So with that, pirates, let's get into it. First on today's docket, let's talk about the hotfix that came in this week for Last Ship Standing. They went ahead and made some changes, and while I think the changes may have helped in some ways, I think they're going to just end up prolonging the game in the event itself needlessly. So the shrinking battle bounds. Let's talk about Last Ship Standing's battle bounds. With the battle bounds continuing to shrink at different stages early in the battle, the end game itself will now remain at a larger size for a more extended period of time. And we understand that it may be a little bit tough for folks to kind of like understand like when the actual timer is. So Rare went ahead and put out a forum post. Thanks to Sonic Bob for putting that out. He says, we've seen lots of feedback on the shrinking battle bounds in Last Ship Standing. And while they are crucial in drawing crews together to fight and ultimately bringing battles to a timely end, ironic, on reviewing your feedback, there was some unexpected scenarios in what we were seeing playing out in matches. Tiny end zone. Each match, if drawn out, will reach a point where the zone will shrink to a tiny final area, forcing a stalemate fight to a close. After investigation, however, this zone was starting much sooner than intended at the 30-minute mark rather than the intended 60-minute mark. Resulting in fights being brought to a close much sooner than intended. A fix for this issue will be rolling out this week, bringing the zone timings back to their intended levels. So what does that mean? It means effectively that each match will not reach the final zone until an hour into the actual fight. Now, if you are familiar with battle royales, which this is effectively going to be a battle royale for Rare in this instance, you'll know that most of these are typically on a timer as well. The bounds around the arena typically shrink, and they are in increments, and you get those increments roughly every 5 to 10 minutes or so. And the reason for that being is that they are generally shorter matches. The intended match time frame is somewhere between, I'd say, 20 to 45 minutes is kind of that sweet spot for a lot of games. Not just battle royales either, but most games that are multiplayer, you generally push for about 20 to 40 minutes for a match, because any more time after that, it just gets drawn out. People lose focus. People start making mistakes. And that's when frustrations come in and the enjoyment of the actual mode tends to wane. So having this be a situation, and I have not jumped in, so I can't say for sure how this is going to work, but looking at an hour time frame for this, it does not feel like that's how long I would want to be fighting in a Sea of Thieves match. It already takes a while sometimes to sync players, especially if they're good and at the higher levels. Definitely a lot harder to do. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys like the fact that it is going to be now at the 60-minute mark, I don't know that I think that's going to solve the problem. I think hopefully this just means that there's a little more time for folks to be able to fight each other in a naval aspect, as opposed to just locking each other down on a ship and seeing who can prevent the other person from bucketing long enough to get a sink in. The next part was the last ship standing. In this aspect, it was talking about the victor. So Drew goes on to say that crews victorious over their rivals should feel they have sufficient time after the fight to collect themselves, reap the rewards from the sunk ships and make their way back to the seas. So this talks specifically to the grace period for winners. Winners will now receive additional time after the battle concludes to gather their treasure and head to the portal. Players previously had 2 minutes before being moved on, but will now have 4 minutes to collect their well-earned rewards. The end portal location as well, crews affected by the tiny end zone and who went on to win, would also find that the end portal appeared on top of their ship and caused them to be abruptly returned to the seas. While this should be much less frequent with the above fix in place, the team are assessing adequate options to ensure the portal is located at a safe distance at the end of the battle. I'm gonna be real honest. There's some easy fixes to this in my mind. One, when the match ends and the last person sinks, remove the bounds. Let people drop sail and move out of the way if they think that they're in the middle. Just remove the boundaries. You know, they can then go in there. And you're thinking, oh well, then they're going to stay in there forever. That's going to be boring. That's going to get boring after a while. The other option is to not have an end portal until a much later time, and allow people to use the map table where the map is and the dagger down is to vote out of last ship standing. You vote to go in, you might as well vote to go out. So I don't see why that would necessarily be too difficult. I think if you vote to get into the Tunnel of the Damned, to then be able to go into last ship standing, it would surmise that you could do the exact opposite to get out of it. That way you don't have to worry about the actual portal itself being an issue. You can gather your supplies. You can spend as much time as you want actually going in there. But if you really needed to put like a time limited thing that would kick people out, just say there's a 15-minute timer. It's going to count down. If you want to truncate that, then you go vote down the voyage and put a little banner up and then have a little more education built into that process, as opposed to just kicking them out twice as long after the match ends, as opposed to, you know, the 2 minutes that it was. The next bit here talks about parity with faction battles. The team have been making good progress to bring the quality of last ship standing up to the parity with existing faction battles. Ship cannons and ammo crates, fixes to allow players to interact with these while waiting for a match will soon be headed to insiders for testing before being released as part of a follow-up update. Then there's the quick requeue. Stability improvements have begun heading to insiders for testing, and once verified, we will allow quick requeue to be enabled for last ship standing battles when they return in the live event calendar. So not something that's going to happen this time around, but the next time that it comes back in. And I think that the quick requeue, I think that should have been in there from the get-go. I don't know why, if they were building it for Hourglass, they wouldn't extend that out to last ship standing. Only makes sense to me to get people back in, so that way if they wanted to keep doing it, they wouldn't have that downtime. The ship cannons and ammo crates, interesting there. I can see why that would be nice for folks to be able to interact with. But again, that's kind of like on the lower end of things to expect with quality of life improvements coming in with this season. Next, they had matchmaking times. As the rush of the weekend has slowed, we've seen reports of extended matchmaking times slowly grow. We can see the majority of players are finding suitable skill-based matches in their region in a timely fashion. But there are clearly some outliers causing players to wait considerably longer for their match. Nothing to share further on this right now, but the team are investigating. This is just a problem with how they are doing these types of things. This game has all of adventure for people to go do, and all of adventure for people to spend their time in. Plenty to do there. Not really a whole lot of reason for people to jump into Last Ship Standing unless they are purposefully trying to get some of the deeds done for this event. Remains to be seen if this is something that people are going to jump into when it comes back around. And given if Twitch is any indicator, or Steam database is any indicator on the player size, it's definitely gone down after Twitch drops. Definitely a lot less people on Steam playing right now. And the weekends do tend to be a little favored towards how many players are going to be playing. It definitely doesn't help that the state of the game is not great and that there's not too much to really do. But again, I think the biggest issue here is that once people get their deeds done, they will probably go back to adventure, where a lot of people still have a lot of things that they want to work on and can get done in a time. Whereas unless they are purposefully grinding out their curses in Last Ship Standing, there's not much of an incentive. Now, if I had, kind of taken a look at this, I think I personally would have said, like, maybe let's give a little bit more of a bonus to this event, given that it's we had the whole fight nights where that was an entire week's worth of double allegiance, and that seemed to hit pretty well. If you're looking to push people into Last Ship Standing, I think having the bonus is warranted in this case. I don't see why that isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you ever go play Call of Duty has entire weekends that are double XP, and those come pretty frequently. I'll say, especially when they plan on doing an event. So if there's ever like a cosmetic event that they have, it's RoboCop coming to Call of Duty or Nicki Minaj coming to Call of Duty, they usually have a double XP weekend, and that's across the board. That's through multiplayer, that's through Battle Royale, it's for your weapons, it's for your levels, it's for everything. It's your battle pass. They incentivize you to play during this time because they've invested the dev hours into building out this kind of thing. Now, Season 19 already pretty low as far as like stuff that's coming to the game. We had improvements to Hourglass, and that was about it. We had some fight nights to be able to get some rewards in there. We had the 1 weekend for Build Rat Weekender. Then they truncated the Last Ship Standing into 3 weeks as opposed to 4 weeks. I don't know why, if I was Rare, I wouldn't just turn on the double XP and let people have free reign of it for the time being, as a mea culpa for having to delay the Last Ship Standing for a week and giving people only 3 weeks. 3 weeks is not a whole lot of time. No, not everyone's going to be playing during that time to dramatically kill like the amount of levels that you're earning for your allegiance. So I think it would have been probably a good idea in this case to try and incentivize people to jump onto the bonus of double XP for that sense. But speaking of allegiance rewards, Drew also went on to say that they wanted to demystify the current approach for how crews earn allegiance during Last Ship Standing. As while players are earned significantly more during faction battles, we are seeing lots of requests for boosted rewards. As a summary, the rewards for Last Ship Standing battles with 6 ships are as follows. If you earn first place, you will earn 450% of a faction battle. If you earn second place, you will earn 270% of a faction battle. Wild number. Okay. Third place will get you 120% of a faction battle. Fourth place will get you 70% of a faction battle, and fifth place will give you 30% of a faction battle win. These are all wins, by the way. If you end 6th place, it is the standard faction battle for a loss amount, which I can understand that. If you're in last place, you lost. It's hopefully not nearly as much time as a standard match, but it at least gives you that amount of loss. As far as the wins there, I'm glad that they are actually announcing like what the percentages is. It would be nice to know what a normal win is technically rated at. I guess that is, I guess a third place win is going to get you 120% of a normal faction battle win. So really, unless you're getting into third place, you are not going to even like count as a full win for that. In fact, a fourth place at 70%, I would imagine that would probably be close to a loss during Golden Glory or Community Weekend, at 70% of a faction battle win. Not even 100%, just a 70%. So you have to at least survive 2 other ships to try and even eke out 70% of a faction battle win. Now, to be perfectly honest, I think that is really bad. Personally, you're telling me that you either have to survive to 4th place or sink 2 ships to earn 70% of what a normal sinking 1 ship faction battle would entail. So if I win a faction battle and I go in and I sink the other sloop, I get 100% of that. Otherwise, I can go to last ship standing and try to survive to 4th place to get 70%. And I have to get to 3rd place to even eke out a little bit more than what a standard 1v1 would be. So you have to survive 3 ships to get the equivalent of a little bit more than a 1v1. That doesn't sound great to me. That doesn't sound like I really want to invest the time, especially when one match is going to be 60 minutes before the final zone kicks down. Now, granted, I'm not saying that it's going to take that long. I'm not saying that that's how long every match is. I'm not saying that it's that hard to get to 3rd place, but just looking at the amount of effort for the amount of reward, I don't know why you would want to go into last ship standing and enjoy just like having to get 4th place and only get 70%. Now you're fighting off multiple ships, or maybe you're just sailing around. You could not actually be engaging. It's very hard to know like how people are playing this out. But overall, I don't know. It seems like Rare is a little too precious with a ranking system that has rewards in it up to level, up to safely, I'll say, up to level 300. You're going to have something along the way. From 300 to 1,000, there's nothing. So why Rare seems so precious about the percentage of allegiance won here is very strange to me, especially when there's such a jump from 3rd to 1st place. You're getting 120% of a faction battle win if you get 3rd place. You get 450 if you win last ship standing. That is dramatic. Like, that is a drastic jump up. I genuinely think if I was doing this, 6th place, totally fine. It's a faction battle loss. 5th place, I'm going to say 50% of a faction battle win. 4th place, you could do 100% of a faction battle win. 3rd place, you should get 150% of a faction battle win. 2nd place, 250 or 225, I think would be good. And then 1st place you could do at 350. I think those would even out the tiers a little bit better, so that 1st place wasn't just getting ridiculously boosted, like obscenely boosted for winning. Especially like, and maybe that's the point. You survive an hour of fighting multiple crews, you get 450%. I'm not gonna, if folks are winning, congrats. I hope that you guys are enjoying the jumps in levels. But genuinely, that just seems so strange to me that they would go with something so dramatic. And genuinely, not even like really, 5th place doesn't even deserve 50% of the value of a faction battle win. Like, You survived one other ship somehow. That's not entitlement to at least 50% of a win. Even on Golden Glory weekend, you can loss farm, I think, for more than what 5th place would give you. And this is a time limited event too. So it's interesting. It's a very interesting approach to this. I don't know that I necessarily agree with the numbers, but then again, I'm not the one that has to make those calls. I just think that they are maybe a little too egregious between 4th and 1st place. Like you don't even get 3/4 of a win for 4th place, but you get 450% of a win if you win it all. That is some lotto logic right there. Winning the lotto versus paying the $5 to get a ticket, or the $20 scratcher. All right. There is a very long and very well explained FAQ on Last Ship Standing from Shelly, who went to talk in about the zones and them shrinking, where it takes place. Why don't the zones shrink when a ship sinks? I think some of those are very easily answered. Why does the zone shrink to its center, not between the two ships? I think that's very straightforward. I don't think a lot of people are really wondering about that kind of stuff. Why doesn't the zone move around or pick a random location? I do actually kind of wonder how come the zone doesn't move. This is something that I did see with a lot of battle royales over time, when there was just a stalemate and no one was willing to actually do something. I think if you had the zone move after, a certain period of time, when it reaches that last ring, it would decide one way or another, whether it be RNG or not, that players had to figure something out. They had to try and change up the gameplay there, which is going to cause errors. It's going to cause confusion. It's going to cause people to change up the repetitive motion of survival. So can I see the battle bounds in the world? Visual is same way, 1v1, making it easier, more dynamic. Okay, it's not really that big of news. What about the area outside the circle? This is all taking place in the Sea of the Fate. I don't know why we're having a conversation about the area outside of a time limited event in the Sea of the Damned. Very strange, but okay. I get that there's maybe some lore that you want to have. So let me take a look here. There's an area outside the battle bounds that we call the Sea of Fate, where you are told you are leaving the fight and have enough time to space to turn the ship around. This is necessary to not have an immediate pushing hard edge where the hourglass blows your ship up, and to ensure that if you're solo and die, you have at least a chance to get back from the ferry and save your ship. Okay, yeah, so it's just a grace period. I don't think there's anything too fancy about that. Will I be able to see anything on the map in Last Ship Standing? I don't. That's such a weird FAQ question to have. Are people asking these? Are these actual questions that were fielded? When I get a stocks crate in Last Ship Standing, yes, you'll get a faction supply crate in Last Ship Standing. The number of stocks and thresholds will be balanced to account for there being 6 ships in the battle. Why aren't stocks equalized as we aren't battling in adventure? Just like in 1v1, we ultimately felt that equalized stocks removes stories and gameplay from Last Ship Standings. Equalizing stocks feels by the books fair, but removes any crew effort, luck, or stories. Taking down a ship to find they had a jackpot of chain shots feels Sea of Thieves. Finding a bunch of supplies in adventure, then deciding you want to dive to Last Ship Standing to use them feels Sea of Thieves. Equalizing stocks also equalizes emotions to an extent. Everything always plays out the same every time. That's not true. Skill has everything to do with how things play out. Equalizing the amount of supplies just makes it a little bit more understood of like what to expect going into it. I don't think that they necessarily need to take away what people have if they've gathered stuff, but at least giving supplies, I think, should be kind of like taken into account. But they talk a little bit about that as well too. Whilst it might be how other games would approach it, For us, we felt this would mean Last Ship Standing loses character that's true to the Sea of Thieves. I just disagree with that fundamentally. There are plenty of things that you can do as long as you aren't taking away like chain shots from people who have gathered them. I don't see a reason why what you bring into it should be messed with. I think if anything, the supplies that are given to players should be equalized based on what they already have up to a threshold. But they go into this. They say, what is the stock threshold doing? If you have more than the threshold of a specific item, the crate won't contain that item, but you still get everything you need, everything else. The threshold is there to enable us to give plenty of items in the crate without having to having an undesirable compounding effect after a few wins where players have huge amounts of supplies without having gathered them. Having high stocks in the crate with a reasonably high threshold made sense to achieve this. Currently, you should be able to dive and win quickly and still get another supply crate. If you win very quickly, you will start to see some of the same items not restocked. We took this broad approach, but then simplified the numbers to round them out and ensure that all ships have the same thresholds in order to make it easier to learn. So yeah, I agree with that. I don't see the equalizing stuff. I can understand if you've gone and actually gathered like curse balls and stuff and you want to hold on to those and use those because those aren't supplied. Makes sense because they're looking to get people to go from adventure to these PvP modes and then come back out with them. So I understand that approach to it. I do think that at least making sure that everyone has the same number of cannonballs and planks and like coconuts. I feel like that's a fair thing. Obviously you get better fruit in there. So, you know, I think that's a good way to go about it as well too. And then what is the approach to chain shot and special items? The approach to stocks was not to make all resources gathering obsolete, but to stop gathering being necessary. The combination of starting stocks and the crate and the shrinking zones altogether ensures that crews can be competitive even from a fresh start. Yes, that makes sense. Base items like cannonballs, wood, and food are relatively obsolete. You generally won't really benefit by gathering any more than you were given when combined with the shrinking zones. That brings matches to a close sooner, except now when it's an hour. Special ammo types are a bit different. Here we wanted to give players enough to compete, but not so much that skill becomes meaningless. Yeah, I completely understand that perspective. Chain shot and other special ammo types can be incredibly powerful in Hourglass. The approach here was to balance the default supplies with gameplay of the match. We're using chain shots as one example, but this applies to all specials. This ensures that chain shot don't become so easy to get that they stop requiring as much effort, skill, and nuance to use properly. Chain shots should remain a skilled play, using sparingly by crews in opportune moments. Crews can still go and gather more supplies if they want more chain shots, but this should feel additional rather than strictly necessary. Stocking at an outpost should now feel like a boost to your default specials rather than something that is necessary to even be competitive. And I'll be perfectly honest, just based on the supplies at outposts, unless you feel like fireworks or worms are really boosting that competitive edge, you might want to take a look at what kind of stuff actually populates in those barrels. As I can tell you right now, you either get really lucky and you get a whole bunch of cursed cannonballs and a whole bunch of chain shot, or you don't. And that's what everyone else has. And that's pretty much what most people have. They have fireworks and worms and bait. Let's see. Why do emissary flags auto raise in Last Ship Standing? I think that's obvious. That's pretty straightforward. What if I want to be a specific emissary? If you already have an emissary flag up, nothing will happen. You will only auto raise one to match your faction if you do not have one currently raised. What if I want to be a guild emissary? We do not auto raise a guild emissary, as the default is to match the faction that you are battling for, and putting gold or guild up may conflict with the emissary ledgers you want to progress here. You may want either. However, if you put Guild Emissary up and then enter last ship standing, when you lose, you will be able to vote down to go again. If you choose this option, the Guild Emissary will be auto raised again for you, allowing you to go back without returning to an outpost to re-raise. All right. So they talked about the temporarily disabled due to game stability with the re-queue on that. Hopefully they get that fixed because that would be nice. Let's see. What is the design approach to rewarding and valuing last ship standing? Here we go. Here's some of the back end on this. Principally, last ship standing is valued with rewards that are competitive or comparative to your efforts in a 1v1, which means what that means is we take into account 1v1 is still a core way to play Hourglass, and so both modes should feel fair and balanced compared to one another. Well, I don't necessarily agree that they do right now. Last ship standing allows you to earn rewards without winning, so it's less all or nothing than 1v1. Yeah, that's fair. But you are still winning to a degree. You're not necessarily winning the whole pot of gold, but if you're one of 3 winners in a $1 billion lottery that you took part in, you're still winning. Granted, you didn't win at all, but you're still winning. And I think that approach, that mentality of all or nothing, is not without discussion. Winning a last ship standing will generally require more effort than winning a 1v1. Yeah, I noticed that. So it earns you more rewards. At the same time, though, you are unlikely to personally have battled off all 5 ships. So it shouldn't be as rewarding as winning 6 individual 1v1s. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with the likelihood of that. You probably aren't going to be fighting all 5 ships, but you are going to have to still survive at least 4 ships to be able to get a 1v1 one. Now, if you somehow make it to 3 without having battled anyone, I would be very impressed. So I guess maybe they're expecting you to have to fight off at least 1 ship and win if you're going to be in 3rd place. Winning a last ship standing that started with 6 ships is harder than winning one with 4 ships. We scale the rewards depending on the number of ships in a match. Lower positions might be earned without much action on your part. For example, if another ship sinks really quickly, you're already in 5th. So it's not a linear ramp of rewards, with positions towards the top much more rewarding than those lower down. Yeah, I agree. I just don't know that I necessarily agree with the scale, with the linear, with the curve that they're operating on right now. Let's see. When you win in last ship standing, you are awarded a streak that is bigger than winning a 1v1, dependent on the number of ships that were in your battle. When you win in last ship standing, your streak awards you more rewards as it does in 1v1. When you win, your opponent's streak awards you more rewards in a 1v1. This is from one ship. In last ship standing, you get this extra reward for every ship that was in the battle. As a benefit to being the ultimate victor, you are awarded the streak value from everyone in the battle. So if there's more people in there that have streaks, if you win, you get more value based on their streaks on top of your streak, is effectively what they're saying. This also means that ships with a higher streak are not going to be overly vulnerable to everyone focusing on them to earn more rewards, as the streak only benefits the overall winner. Which is kind of a shame there, because I don't know that you really know who's got the highest streak when you go in. Keeping the flow of last ship standing about overall victory, not targeting streaks ships. I mean, that's tactics though. Like targeting specific streak or specific ships. That's like third partying in a battle royale. you hear two teams going after each other, you third party, and you try to go after the one that looks like they're going to win the battle, especially if they've already knocked like another person. You take out the more apt team while you have the numbers against them, because the chances of you taking out the team that is losing in the 1v1 are better, knowing that they are already hurting by the time you arrive there. That's just tactics. I don't know that I disagree with not rewarding people for using tactics like that. But that's the, heavy is the crown, or no, heavy is the head that wears the crown, they say. Like, you're going to be on top, you're going to take the flak kind of thing. When we refer to rewards, this thinking has been applied across all the rewards. So includes allegiance for finish position, hourglass value for winning, and then reputation for finish position when using the Reaper Athena Guild Emissary. Let's see. Please note, we also use the average time to play a 1v1 and a last ship standing when balancing these rewards, so that when you are valuing them compared to each other, it takes into account any difference in match time. As an example, if we wanted a specific action to be double the reward in one mode, we mean double the reward in the same amount of game time, not necessarily the same amount of matches. Which, yeah, I get that. Honestly, if I had the opportunity, I would say chances are getting a loss, getting into 5th place, may be the quickest way to loss farm if players were trying to like min-max it. But I think winning ultimately would still be the case, which kind of goes back to that whole time frame, having the final ring not close until 60 minutes in there. It feels like that will prolong fights, but then again, I haven't jumped in, so I can't really say for sure without actually having experienced it. What if there are less than 6 ships in a battle? We hope that being unable to fill a full match will happen minimally, given the last ship standing is only available during certain windows. Our aim to provide the best matchmaking experience possible and more players playing at the same time helps here. However, in order to ensure you can start a match, we wait for 6 players, but will after time fall back to 5 players, and then finally to 4 to ensure that you get a match rather than not being able to play. This is similar to how Arena functioned. Yeah, it's a good way to go. And in that instance, should matchmaking need to fall back to a slightly smaller match to ensure you are able to start with less ships, all awards are balanced accordingly. In other words, winning a 5-man match rewards slightly less than winning a 6-ship match, so that the rewards are fair to your effort. It would not make sense to reward the same for coming in 4th in a 6-ship battle than last in a 4-ship battle. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that logic. And then what is your stance on teaming? In last ship standing mode, players dynamically switching targets in an attempt to be the last ship standing is an inherent part of the game mode. If one ship is already being attacked, it is a valid choice for you to also attack them in order to better guarantee the sink, placing you one step higher. If players are using teaming in a way that crosses the line into harassing, bullying, or otherwise toxic, this is not acceptable and should be reported and will be dealt with by our player support team. For certain smaller matchmaking pools, such as those at ultra high skill, we recognize that players may be identifiable by others in the match and might feel they are being teamed on due to the skill/notoriety. In this case, we encourage those players to use tools we give everyone in the game to have anonymity. You can change your cosmetics, use the scrambling feature to ensure you are not recognizable. While this is the first introduction of this new mode, it will return monthly in our live calendar. We will therefore be monitoring this behavior, and we'll look for your feedback on how frequently this takes place before assessing what changes could be made in the future. And that is effectively it as far as the last ship standing goes. I appreciate the time that they took to put this all together. I still don't necessarily agree with the curve that they're using for the rewards. I think that those could be a little bit better balanced, but again, they're trying to drive people to win instead of just be okay with mediocrity. So I get that aspect to it. Let's see. The hotfix did want to address some of the issues with rubber banding while you're actually waiting for the battle, and that players prevented from loading cannons and interacting with the ship's ammo crate. This is not consistent with faction battles and will be addressed as part of follow-up updates, as well as like interacting and loading the cannons and stuff like that. So that was it as far as the actual hotfix goes. I think that the patch notes that they put in for these were good. I think the forum posts were better. Trying to demystify stuff when you're trying to build a competitive mode for the game is really not doing any harm to the community. Giving more information, like I understand, like if you put something special in the game or there's a new voyage coming out that you want people to like go and figure out how to do it, or a tall tale that's coming out that's going to allude to stuff in the future, like I get the intent of mystification or keeping that sense of mystery intact for those things. I don't want to know what the story is when I go to test out stuff and insiders for World of Warcraft. I just want to play it when it comes out. But looking at competitive things, giving more details is going to allow players to have that kind of information going into it. Everyone wants to understand how these systems work. And I think letting us know, like, especially with the rewards and stuff, how they're planning on doing all this, that's great. Just, don't be precious of learn, don't clutch your pearls on some things. Feel free to clutch your pearls on other things. I think that this is a good balance of giving information without necessarily like giving up the whole kit and caboodle here. What I will say is that the release notes suck. The release notes are terrible. Like they're like the amount of detail that went into the forum post that Sonic Bob put out. Those should have just been the release notes. Those just take those as the actual notes and put those. The release notes right now, these ones, they're not good. They're very elusive. Their patch notes should not be storytelling. Don't sit here and do the while most battles will end naturally in a flurry of cannon fire, prolonged battles of over an hour will no, these are patch notes. Nobody gives a about what the story was that you're telling for this. Just speak plainly about what is actually being changed and document all the things that are being changed, please. The hidden stuff is not very fun. That's not great. It's not nice to know when things change and you have this expectation of muscle memory built in and there was a problem with it or it got changed, because that impacts our ability to accurately report bugs. If things go undocumented and we report it as a bug, that is more wasted time by the developers who are like, why didn't you guys tell them that this got changed? We changed it. Now they're reporting it as a bug. Did they not were they not told that it was getting changed? No. Fantastic. That's a lot of reports that didn't have to happen, that we had to review, that then delayed other things. So please, if you're going to do patch notes, do as Sonic Bob does in the forums. Be explicit, be clear, be direct, and be accurate. That is the most important thing when it comes to patch notes. I don't care how you dress it up. I appreciate that you guys want to have the little bit of like it's the Sea of Thieves, it's a wonderful, they're patch notes. Come on. The diehards are reading this and they want the details. That's why we're appreciative of the forums, because that's where this information is being provided. Some of the things like Shelly did with the FAQ, I think pushed a little too far into stuff that we didn't need to know all of that, but she also went into very explicit detail about a lot of things. I think that there could have been a little bit more on the numbers there, but she did a very good job of the FAQ. And Drew did a very good job of the patch notes. the release notes actually sucked. So yeah, take a little bit of feedback on that one. Not saying the person who did the release notes they did a bad job. They could have been provided that for them to type up, to submit, whatever. Please just go use the forum stuff in the future for this kind of stuff. It's so much nicer to read actual amounts for stuff and then actually go in and read the reasoning behind it, so that we can actually provide proper feedback, knowing what the actual mentality is behind that helps out tremendously. So, all right. I'm going to take a quick break because I just realized I've been talking this whole time and I should probably actually go get something to drink. So I'll be back in a hot second. All right, so there are a couple more things that I want to let you guys know is coming to Sea of Thieves. We have the Fashionista thing that's coming out. They're going to be doing this from June 1st to June 4th, and the themes are as such. These you have 24 hours, by the way, to post on social media when these go live. The first theme is going to be Battle. The second theme is going to be Circus. The third theme is going to be Inventor. And the fourth theme is going to be Whimsical. So that's what you can look forward to as far as the Fashionista. It is just like cosmetics. So just get your best outfit, put yourself in front of a very plain background, snap a picture, post it on social media with the hashtag or at Sea of Thieves with the hashtag, I believe it is Style of Thieves. Yes, Style of Thieves all together. And get your entries in. That is going to be for the blue Fashionista gloves, and that is for season 19 starting on June 1st. Additionally, there is going to be a Golden Glory weekend going up on June 5th, which is a shame for me because I'm actually going to be at Summer Games Fest and the Xbox Showcase this year, as well as FanFest, covering news and demos and stuff like that for games coming out that weekend. And that's going to be for the expansion pass. So if you guys are curious about Sea of Thieves, if you guys are curious about Xbox, if you have any questions or anything that you see at Summer Games Fest, I will be keeping an eye on the Keelhauled Discord during that weekend as well to see if there's anything going on. But I have a lot of interviews lined up with a lot of different companies and to see their game and to talk to the devs themselves. And a lot of that content is going to be going up over on the expansion pass. So keep an eye out there for that. But Golden Glory weekend is going to be then as well too. The last thing I wanted to let y'all know about is actually to do with SoT Fest. So if you guys haven't been keeping up with it, they are going to be having that in July on the 10th and 11th. And that is going to be at the Bascott Stadium like it has for the last few years now over in Walsall in England. And as weird of a community time it is right now for Sea of Thieves, I want to make sure that folks that are going to be going, that have invested that money, know about stuff that's going on outside of it as well too, that still pertains to it. And I'm actually really impressed with this. I'm very, very happy to see that they've gotten some kind of cool stuff showing up for SoT Fest because it is a celebration of the friends that we have because of this game. And I want to make sure that they have like an opportunity to kind of get some promotion on this as well too. Even though I won't be going, I have loved going in the past. It's always been a really big deal and really enjoyed it. But when I saw this, I thought this is pretty cool. I actually like it. I think it looks pretty good. But they are doing a special Sea of Thieves Fest 2026 controller. Now the controller is a standard Xbox controller. It is being done through Extreme Consoles, which if you guys aren't familiar, they do custom console wraps for different controllers, depending on what you want, either PS5, Xbox, things like that. And the Sea of Thieves Fest is a special deal that they have going on. You can pre-order these, and these are going to be going live in the future, but they are expensive. I will say custom controllers are not cheap. And as someone who has been to many a convention, both gaming and anime and Comic-Con ones, I've seen booths where they have custom controllers that are custom wraps and stuff. And at no point have I ever been able to justify the money to get one of them, because if I had the extra cash, I would absolutely dump money on them. They are beautiful. They look really cool. There's usually something for anyone at the conventions. And when I saw this, I thought, this is a beautiful controller. Rare has told us, they told us a long time ago that they had another controller in the works, that they were trying to get that going. And we have not heard high nor hair of them. In fact, I haven't seen anyone from the actual product team in quite a while. So I'm hoping that Adam and Pete are still alive, that they weren't forgot about in the closet that they work out of, and that they're still being supplied with plenty of Lego. But the Sea of Thieves Fest controller is available. It is a Kraken and wood planked themed one. It is a teal and dark gray kind of motif with yellow accents. And it has the SoT Fest 2026 logo on the left grip. There is a Kraken controller stand, which is just a Kraken tentacle that kind of wraps up and holds the controller in a very angled way, as if it were like gripping an actual pirate. And what I will say is that there is the special edition controller, which is 150, I believe in the States. It's 144.99 in pounds. And then there's the standard official controller for 125, which would probably come out to about 135, I believe, American. So the special edition version has the better grips on it. It has like the actual like yellow grips on the back there. And it's nice. It also has the colored it has the blacked out ABXY buttons. Whereas the standard has the standard ABXY with the red, blue, green, and yellow controller buttons. I actually prefer those. It's a weird thing, but I actually prefer those compared to just blank ones for the most part. I don't know. It brings a little color to something, but I can understand why folks wouldn't necessarily want to get that. But this is something that is going to the pre-orders. You can pre-order them. They are going to be live and will be arrived by the end of July after SoT Fest. Which is on the 10th and the 11th of July. And to be perfectly honest, if I had the money, I probably would pick one of these up. But at the moment, I am trying to be good about expenditures because I'm getting closer to paying off my my credit cards. And this is one of those things where if it were official, I would probably splurge for it. But because it's the fan-based one, I would say that I probably want to hold off on that, especially because I'm not actually getting to go to SoT Fest. It'd be different if I was going to SoT Fest. Like I have my my Letterman jacket from the first time that they were offered for SoT Fest. I wear that all the time. I'm very proud of that one because it's got my name embroidered on it. But with this one, it's not personalized. It's just a normal controller with a custom wrap on the front for the faceplate, and it's cool. The cost is going to be a lot higher than what most people pay for a standard controller. That is not this case. This is the situation where this is a custom wrap. It is a custom faceplate. These typically go for much more. And when I say much more, I'm talking $250 usually. Anytime I've gone to any booth at a convention, taken a look at the controllers and said, that's really sick. I would love to buy that. And then I go grab their little business card. And then later on, I go check their website and I look at the website and I'm like, how much is this actually going to be? How much is this Jurassic Park PlayStation 5 controller that I don't need? $250. Oh God. Yeah, I don't need it now. Definitely don't need that. So 150, 125 pounds. It's going to be a little bit more when you do the conversion to American USD, but that is still a decent price for a custom wrap. I would say that is pretty standard in most cases. If you're going to get something that's really elaborate, expect to pay more. If you're just looking for a controller that is going to sit on your desk, that isn't first party, then you should expect a little bit less. But for this, it's something that they're doing very niche. Probably not expecting more than, I would say, like 100, 150 of these units ever. That's one of those things where this is going to be a bit of a collector's piece for folks that are big on collecting Sea of Thieves stuff. And it's more so just going to be something for the sake of like having an opportunity to do something for the community by the community, because that's generally how these work. So want to let you guys know about that. I know it's going to have a pretty hefty high price tag for a lot of folks that aren't going to SoT Fest, but guarantee you these prices seem normal to me, even if they are higher than a standard controller. That is going to do it for this episode of the Keelhauled podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys know that I'm trying to get the news out there for y'all, and hope that you guys are enjoying it. Just as a reminder, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, and I didn't necessarily comment on the fact that that was going to be the case, but there will not be an episode of Keelhauled this coming week on the 8th. I am still going to be in LA. That is one of my busiest interview days. I will not actually even make it home until the 9th, which means that whatever is going on for this week and this next week, I will not be back until the 15th of June with another episode of the podcast. So I will try to keep an eye on things and keep note of things. There's going to be a lot of discussion, I'm sure, around custom Cs. They have already been showing off some of the promotional stuff at TwitchCon, which is in Europe. I think I saw the images. Gosh, now I feel like I need to go to Twitter and actually take a look, because I saw the posts earlier today. I think it was earlier today. No, it was yesterday. Yesterday they paid some homage to the set pieces that they have over at the TwitchCon in Europe. And as always, they've always done a pretty good job of posting this. I don't know who's going to be there. I have to imagine that John McMurtry will probably be there with his heterochromial eyes and his cheerful spirit. But we did see that they do have some of the pillows. And the pillows, honestly, one of them was Sea of Thieves Custom Cs. It had a little gear and a little galleon inside the gear. That's going to be their big push. Season 20. It's going to be their big push. They're going to be talking a lot about custom Cs, as Regis would say. And they got Flameheart. They pulled Flameheart out of the barn and prompted him up over at the booth over on TwitchCon. And it's just one of those things. They're going to be doing the promotion for the game. The game is getting long in the tooth. They very much need a kick in the pants, I think, for something for folks to be excited about. I don't know that TwitchCon is going to do a lot. Hopefully it will. Hopefully folks will find it and be like, oh, this is still going, and then get invested in it. I hope that's the case. But with custom Cs, it's kind of up to the person who jumps into it to determine like how that's going to work. If it's going to be something that they're interested in. And I feel like that's going to be a hard sell for new people, because people coming into the game have no clue what the game is even possible of doing. But they are going to be hosting a meetup on, or actually they already hosted the meetup. Now that it looks like it was on May 30th in Meetup Room 1. If anyone was there, I'd be curious to find out like what the conversation was about, how things were going. But it'd be very interesting to see how Rare decides to try and promote Season 20. Because that is absolutely going to be just sandbox tools at players' leisure. And for a lot of us that have been around Sea of Thieves, we could absolutely think of some stuff to do. Absolutely think of stuff to do with custom Cs. But I think for new people, that is going to be like I don't really know what I do, because I don't know what I can do or what there is even to do with the things in there. So I imagine people will probably pop in. They'll probably spawn a couple kegs. They'll probably spawn a bunch of enemies. Do we have an enemies in Sea of Thieves? I don't think we have an enemies. We have enemies. We don't have an enemies. Maybe the Rare could make a new enemy that is just a sea anemone. Am I saying that right? Probably not. Yeah. But yeah, showcase, Xbox showcase, probably going to be custom Cs. Probably going to be promoting you being able to do whatever you want in this pirate sandbox. You've been there, you've done it. Now do it in a different way with you behind the wheel of Custom Seas. Plan your own adventure. You know, I'm sure John will probably have a nice script kind of built up for this, but we'll have to see how that goes. But I will not be back with another episode until June, what did I say, 15th? Yeah, June 15th will be the next podcast episode. That'll be 420, because this is 419. So Pirates, hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys are having a good time. Take care of yourselves, take care of others if you are taking care of yourself, and I will catch you all next time.